I'm referring to it as like my, I'm gonna say, what did the fake ones the other day? It's the ink by her own home.
Oh.
And so the lovely couple that we have
Okay,
right
so
now,
take the
He's told us
earbuds out of your
to-
case.
and they bought a house.
All right, it is 5:30. I call this planning committee meeting to order. Two items on the agenda today. Isn't there two? Yeah.
One agenda
One
item,
agenda item, sorry.
two
Two items to discuss.
pieces of information under that agenda
Thank
item.
you. So I'm gonna hand that off to you.
Sure, yeah, we have two things. First, we have a strategic planning update. This is where you're going to see, the first draft that the Donovan Group put together, culminating all those experiences that, they were in charge of, through phases 1, 2, and 3 of our RFP. The second topic will be to discuss, stages 4 and 5 of the RFP, that was not previously bid out, at least for a final number. They gave us an indication of what that would look like, back, during the RFP planning. We did not engage in sections 4 or 5, but we should have some discussions about if we want to continue with, that moving forward, with the RFP process. So with that, I'll kick it off to, Jason and Lori, to give us an update from, Donovan Group and, the internal team.
Sure, I can just kick us off with a couple of updates. One is, we always want to start with gratitude. So I want to thank all the folks that gave us input, whether it's from focus groups, the community work group, the internal group, the Board of Education, certainly. Been a process, and I think the feedback we received is the facilitation of this process is well received. So thank you to everyone. I also think that we never think about the why too often. And so the strategic planning, strategic plan and the why of that is really twofold. One is to reestablish our collective why. Like, what is the why of our school district and how it fits into the work in the classroom, at the building, district level, and community level. So it's a reestablishment of our why. And secondly, it is really the foundation of continuous improvement. We want to use our strategic plan in the future, be really driven by students and data informed. And so building that culture though, with those two pieces of life. The next thing I wrote down is that we're still on track. The Donovan Group put together a roadmap of where we should be, and we remain on track on that roadmap. And today, I'm going to turn this over to Lori really quickly here. She's going to give us some updates. We're really looking for your feedback from the planning committee. That will be used to revise the plan if there is a need for revision. And then we'll bring that to the full board next Monday and really put Dr. Burke in a position to share some of these pieces with the entire staff on August 27th. And that is the timeline that we created several months ago. And we're still on track, so that's great. I'd like to turn it over to Lori and thank Lori again for her work, her facilitation of the process. And thank you, Lori, and I just welcome you to take it over here from here. So thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jason. And thank you, everybody. I'm just, again, continuously grateful for the opportunity to be a part of your fun team and committed team there. And as Jason indicated, this is an opportunity for you all to get a first glimpse of how this plan has come together. And it's an opportunity for you to give us feedback if you think that there's an opportunity here to change anything yet or to adjust. So with that, I do have an organizing slide deck to kind of walk us through. And as Jason indicated, we've used what you're seeing like the first page of here is our roadmap that we've used to facilitate this entire process. Members of your internal team there have a copy of this roadmap. This is an active link here, but you'll see that as we've worked our way through our phases of the whole process here, we've also linked in all the things that have been produced and have been a deliverable for the district to use moving forward. So let's talk about the main components and how they've come together. And first, we'll start with the mission statement. And again, the mission statement is our why. And as Jason indicated, it's our collective why. We've brought your representative members of the community together. Everybody who wanted to be a part of that group had an opportunity to share their voice. And we worked to answer these three questions. What do we do? Whom do we serve? And how do we serve them? And we worked through this process with each meeting. We had a total of 4 planning work group meetings. And at our last meeting, we ended up sharing these 3 drafts based on previous work. So 3 separate mission statements. And we also lined it up next to your current mission statement. And there are a lot of similarities between all 3. And we asked tables at our last planning session to tell us which one of these they preferred. And if they wanted to make any adjustments, they could. And Jared was gracious to walk around and let each team share their statement as he held it up. What we were able to do is take all of those statements and synthesize them by answering those 3 questions. What do we do? Who do we serve? And how? So the what we do unanimously or close to unanimously was we serve. Definitely unanimously was the who was all students. So we serve all students. Where there was maybe the most variance was how, and yet we had a lot of inter-rater reliability around what you see here. So in the end, we believe that this is your new mission statement based on all that work. And just for fun, I'm going to read it. We serve all students by providing educational opportunities that foster a lifelong love of learning. So when you see this, we want you to understand our why. We think that when we share this out to members of our community, to our staff, to our students, we want people to see, know, hear, feel that this is what we are all about here at Watertown Unified School District. And I should say, I'm going to walk through all of these and then we'll stop and give you an opportunity to kibitz in here and give me some feedback. Connected to our mission is our vision statement. Where do we want to go? So if we're successful with our why, our mission, we'll be able to achieve our vision. And we asked your stakeholders to look at the future through the lens of 3 different words. The 3 words that we've used to guide us through this entire process that reflects Watertown. It's tradition, innovation, and transformation. And so based on previous work of the planning group, this is what came out of when we synthesized all of their feedback about the future. When we think of tradition, what we got was valuing diversity and tradition. We inspire pride through strong community involvement, supporting students and families. When we asked them to think about innovation, what we got synthesized was innovative, student-centered education with community collaboration, career exploration, emotional support, and advanced technology integration. And then you can see here then what came for transformation, which is really a just, inclusive, vibrant community that through emotional support, collaboration, and robust parent and student engagement, we can achieve that. What we did then is we took this work from the group previously and we synthesized it into this statement here. And then we brought this statement to the work group at the last meeting, and we made some adjustments to it. And we are leading this with tradition, innovation, transformation. And actually, let me just see. Yep, that's right. So this is what we brought to your team then at the last meeting. We want to stick with tradition, innovation, transformation as our lenses, but then you can see this is the statement pulled together. After feedback from the group, this is what I wanted to show you. We think this is your new vision statement. We thought it was important to keep this word diversity because we got that feedback from a large number of those who participated. We recognize that this could be a word that people get hung up on. So we did go through an exercise of asking those who participated what their definition is for diversity and what they can accept as diversity. And that can be a part of our materials moving forward. But we think that, you have a diverse population that you all serve. So valuing that and our tradition, we added in the word school here. We inspire school pride through strong community involvement and innovative student-centered education. And so we dropped this tagline then at the bottom of this because as you read through it, it has a nice flow, right? This is our tradition. We're innovating and ultimately we're transforming our student-centered education. Then we focused on our core values, and we asked individuals to do an activity where they could share with us their top 3 core values that they hold for the students of Watertown Unified School District. And then we also asked them to share with us their top core value and to define that core value for us. And when we shared this activity with your participants, we asked them to not only think about core values that we want to instill in our students, but also that values that should be reflected in the adults that are working with our students. And so the top 5 core values that rose to the top here, you can see on the left. The one that we kind of had to work with a little bit is perseverance, is we had a lot of feedback that people wanted as a value to like essentially strive for academic excellence, which was more of an outcome than a value. So in order to achieve academic excellence, we kind of talked about that at the last meeting about what does that really mean in terms of values that we hold for our students. So we talked about maybe grit, perseverance. Ultimately, it's making sure that you're sticking with it, right? We want to strive, have high expectations for ourselves. And so I think this is where we landed. And then you can see the definitions here that came from those members that had identified these values as the top values. And then we have our priorities. So those priorities that will guide our decision-making moving forward for that continuous improvement, as Jason noted. And so this is a little challenging to explain, so bear with me. Then this is tiny and it's okay if you can't see it all. I just want to explain that how we got to our top priorities is we asked all of the members of those planning teams and their groups to list out for us what they think are priorities for us moving forward in the Watertown Unified School District. And based on that, then we did a voting exercise where we gave individuals dots to vote on what they believe are their top priorities. And so everything you see here was typed up from those lists. And then I put them in categories. So the categories are across the top. Just try to naturally group them based on what made sense. For example, that top left one is inspired academic excellence and student growth, which matches previous work in the district under pillars. And you can see that, the top vote getter, if you will, was inclusivity and acceptance and diversity. And that's why it's so important that that word diversity stays in that vision statement. You can see that as you move down, you have a contingency of individuals in this group that really feel strongly that no politics or diversity, equity, inclusion should be in classrooms. You can see there's a pretty big gap though between them. And then we have career and technical education. So you can maybe start to see how things are grouped together. As you look across the categories, all in team is really about your educators and your staff. The connecting as a community is about community engagement, communications, marketing. The intentional resource allocation is about the operations, right? Making sure we have necessary funds, appropriately addressing financial constraints, looking at innovative ways that we can be fiscally responsible. And the last one is innovative facilities and use. So this is kind of how they shook out. We brought this back to the planning group at the last meeting. We asked them to review this and give us any additional feedback. And we asked them to score or vote. This time we did it with markers and like little note takers to make sure that we didn't have little dot stealing going on. And what we ended up with is sticking with those 5. So if we pull everything together, oh no, that was very disappointing. Hold on, I'm sorry. I was like ready to do the big reveal and there is nothing there. Let me just pull that up really quick for you all. Not sure why that happened, but sometimes things get lost in translation. So I'm going to just go pull it from my system here quick. But in the end, we're pulling it all together to show you how this looks from a design element. And I'm going to pause, stop talking, and let you all give me feedback on everything you've heard thus far. And before I reveal it, I guess what I'll share is that we worked on this as an internal team. I did meet with your leaders just last week, and I gave them a preview of this. Okay, and let me see if I can share this. So I hope that you can, is it okay? Can you see it all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to kind of bear with me here, right? Like design is really important in terms of presenting the strategic plan to your audiences moving forward. So let me just kind of break down the design, but we talked about it as an internal team and we made some tweaks based on what we talked about as a team. And I still think there's more design that we can do, but I wanted to give you a general sense of how this comes together. Noting that the design is not the hard work that is coming next, right? With the implementation of the plan. But to see how it all comes together, what we did is we kept that lens on tradition, innovation, and transformation. So on the left-hand side, you see actual photos, thanks to Melissa Lamp there, some real photos from Watertown that speaks to the traditions of Watertown. Like people outside of Watertown understand that the community of Watertown was a front runner, right? And starting with schoolhouses and pulling students together for education. So I love that photo there. You have a photo there from the 80s as well of school spirit. And in that column, we kept the core values. In the middle, it's intended to be in today's colors, right? Innovation. Ultimately, we would like to have a photo here that shows something that's going on in your schools that shows innovation right now. This is a great placeholder photo, and it does just happen to work well with that young man's blue shirt. But then also on the very right-hand side, you'll see that we put some some of your school color overlays to show it's the future, it's coming. And yet we're using photos of your kiddos there to show, as we transform. Now, a big conversation that occurred throughout our planning process was this desire to be a leader in career and technical education. And I would love to see that reflected with photos. And so we talked about that as a team about how can we, maybe even carry the theme of that across all three lenses. But you'll see the priority areas are listed there at the bottom. And I think it was Margaret who really liked the idea of having the little flame and the is that supposed to be a flying geese with your brand there as bullets. And then we have our mission and vision on the right hand side, and the fonts change from left to right based on tradition, innovation, and transformation. So that's kind of how it all comes together. And I'm going to share my PowerPoint again, or my slide deck, they're called these days. If I could get there. And so the last thing I'll share is that as we're working with your internal team here, we are doing the hard work next. Like now we take these priority areas and we start to put into place real defined like SMART goals, strategies to accomplish those goals that are aligned to those priorities, and set the indicators of success, how we will measure success. So some work that we started to do just last week is taking this template that you see here, where we're writing across the top goals for our students' performance, whether that's performance in reading, or literacy, writing, math performance or math literacy. Other student strategic indicators could be attendance, behavior, graduation, workforce certifications. Sometimes I'll see school districts focus on like the number of dual enrollment coursework that kids participate in. It really depends on the context of the district. And this is work I'm helping your team facilitate. But you'll see here on the left-hand side, we have our priority areas that allow us then to, based on, like, let's say this top left box is focusing on reading and how we'll measure it just for the 2024-25 school year. These are the strategies that we'll deploy to have success with that goal under the frame of each of our priority areas. So that's how that next step goes. So before I go on, I'm going to stop here. And I want to go back to each of the components and let you all weigh in on so let's start with the mission statement and just let you react to what you see here and let us know if you have any feedback you'd like to share.
All right, anything from, let's start with committee members, questions, and then we'll open it up to all.
Lori, what is the big goal of having a new mission and vision statement?
It's a great question. It's not so essential to have, like, it's not a goal to have a new one. I think the goal is to make sure that your mission statement truly captures what you all are about.
Well, wouldn't you say the big goal is to get a referendum passed?
That could be a potential goal, but it when we think about our mission statement is about our why. Like what our why most always certainly with school systems is our students. And so what it is that we do with our students, how do we support them and accomplish for them what they need moving forward? A referendum would be, in my opinion, more of a strategy to meet a goal, and that would be placed under one of your priority areas. And right now in your in your draft of the plan, where that would fall. Where that would fall, I'm sorry, I can't like show you, is the innovative facilities in use. And I think that's where it falls. I think it also falls potentially under the intentional resource allocation. And from an engagement perspective with your community, if you decide that you would like to put a solution or a couple solutions out there for your community, then that's going to fall under connecting as a community, and you might want to have some goals there related to referendum.
Well, I bring that up because maybe you were reading the room correctly when we were in the library, but I don't think you're reading the community correctly. And using words like diversity, transformation, those are hot button words for a lot of people in the community. And I mentioned referendum because I said it several times. They're not going to vote in favor of a referendum if you're going to include diversity and transformation. And there's a few other words that we have in the vision statement as well that I would object to, and I know a lot of other people would. So,
okay, so that's good feedback. So can we take it one piece at a time? Is there anything that concerns you about the mission statement first? Anything that you think is problematic from a language piece?
Anybody have any thoughts on that? Board? Sam?
I think it would be more accurate to say that we serve district students because we are serving students in our district, not students in other districts or that are not within the district in town.
Okay,
So I think
not entirely true. I brought up the same discussion point. We do have international students in our e-campus, or we have students who are open enrolling to us from other places. And truly, we serve parochial students. There's many parochial students we help serve. And so that's why we settled on all.
so are those the first two categories, the e-campus and the international students? Are they enrolled in our district program?
Yes, our
So-
district e-campus program.
And then the parochial students who live in town are living within the district, right? They're living within the district.
I don't know that for sure. I believe that there are some parochial students who live outside of our district boundaries who attend a parochial school in town, but may get services. So I couldn't rule that out.
That would still be within the bounds of the district, even if they're going to the school, they may be outside of it, but they're still attending school within the bounds of the district. Same thing with open enrollment.
I just want to make sure that we're not accidentally having people feel like they don't belong if they are attending in some way, shape, or form.
Gotcha. You think students are gonna read a statement that says we serve district students and feel left out?
If they attend a parochial school or if they're international students who we serve, I mean, maybe.
But our
We serve our students, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Our students, yeah.
our students.
and I would like to see that word foster changed to encourage. The idea of foster brings to mind foster children who are taken from their families. And I don't want any.
So you're thinking a different word because that might be a triggering word? Foster?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather see encourage.
How about promote?
Promote is even better.
Which I guess is what foster means, but it was. Right?
I think, I do sort of feel like this misses the mark a little bit in the sense that, we're providing, by providing educational opportunities and our previous mission statement mentioned that we are to engage all students in rigorous and relevant learning to maximize their unique talents and abilities, prepare them for challenges of the future. That speaks very specifically to a higher standard of, providing an educational opportunity. And I feel like sells ourselves short on that. Academic achievement being a pretty strong focus that we should be having as a school district. And what does by providing educational opportunities mean? Does that mean we just provide bowling? Is basket weaving? Those are all educational opportunities.
Do we provide bowling clubs?
I mean,
Well,
it's inspired perhaps.
part of that?
We've done basket weaving in arts,
Sure,
Yes.
so we do
Sure.
have those as educational.
but if we're gonna use this as our mission statement to be kind of our guiding light for where we wanna go as a district. Should we be a little bit more high reaching than this? That's my question.
I'm gonna jump in. I had a similar thought on that same line. And then I struggled with the fact that we just had hundreds of community stakeholders put voice into this. So my internal struggle is we as a committee and then board members adding to that, do we undo, redo the work, the hours worth of work that our community just put forth? And I don't have an answer to that. I'm just sharing it. I feel the same way. You know, I went back on our previous statement many times, that rigorous and relevant, you know, and that engaging piece. And when I first started teaching, it was provide a lifelong love of learning. That's what everybody wants. That's what everybody needs. But yeah, I don't know how to blend that without taking away. We've heard so many times from our public, we've given you a voice. We've been a voice. Okay, I want to hear the voice, but we can't say, yeah, we hear the voice sometimes, but then disregard it out. You know, that's where I'm having a struggle. Try.
I guess my question would then go back to the premise of the question. Why did we ask Donovan Group to help us with this, to facilitate this process? Is to get a little bit of a perspective from the community. It's still a board level decision when it comes to where we go from there when it comes to forming our strategic plan. And it should be. So I don't want to disregard the input of our public. Because we've heard valuable input from all sides on that. I do feel that perhaps maybe we can glean out of some of that information a stronger mission statement.
Tina's battery.
Okay, Tina?
Yes, yep, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
We certainly can.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. You know what, I really like this new mission statement. I was not a fan of the previous one. I like the idea that whether we're serving all students or our students. I think that's just, you know, semantics, you know, however. But I think educational opportunities, I appreciate what this statement gives, because from the standpoint of educational opportunities, that's going to mean different things to different kids. And so, you know, yes, some of it's going to be academic achievement, but, you know, kind of like we've alluded to in some of the feedback from the community, some of it's going to be, you know, technical skills. Maybe it's going to be, you know, welding skills that, yes, it does relate to some academic performance, but educational opportunities. We have music. We have so many offerings as far as that goes, that, you know, we have the dual language and things like that. So I think it really speaks to the really great, all of the educational opportunities that we have. And really, when kids come excited and ready to learn, like they're like academic and student achievement, I think is just going to carry through with that. I mean, they're at school, you know, to learn things. And so I think that takes a lot of, you know, the different pieces and pulls it together and represents it nicely. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think this is really good conversation, and this is what we're hoping to get from you all. The one thing I think, you know, to keep in mind is we did provide your current mission statement to that large group and ask them to tell us what they liked what they wanted to preserve, right? With that statement, and also gave them an opportunity to use their voice to say, we don't want to change the statement. We want to keep it as it is. And in the end, this is where we ended up landing through that entire process. So I hear and acknowledge the, the desire to have some of those words in there because it maybe feels like it's reaching for a higher level. But I think it really comes down to that fundamental question, like, why do we exist? And it's reaching for those higher levels that comes through our work, through our priorities.
Fred?
We want to move
Lori,
forward. Oh, go ahead.
Lori, what's the purpose of our vision statement?
Of the mission or vision?
This is mission.
I'm gonna get back to mission.
Okay.
What is the purpose of our vision statement?
So the purpose of the vision statement is to set a target moving forward. It's intended to be, like, again, visionary, right? So what do we see ourselves as a school system in the future? What do we look like as a school system 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road?
It's going on. I don't necessarily disagree with the mission statement. I like the idea of educational opportunities. And I truly believe in a strong level of learning. I think our growth mindset is one of the most important things a person can have. Going on our tradition, innovation, and transformation. I'm sitting here wondering if, and I like the existing mission statement. Part of me wonders if we need to take some of that and incorporate into what we have. I don't know if it's the vision statement, if it's, the mission, but one of the things we have is tradition, and taking that theory, it just encapsulates, taking those things that you've had in the past, and building off of them, which we've done a bit, but I'm wondering with the innovation transformation, just the ideas turning in my head of, hey, let's take what we had for our mission statement. Let's transition it to, is it our vision statement? What is it? What can we do with that? And then building on that, building on that. And again, I like what we have for the mission statement, and for the purpose that we have the few changes that, Dan had thrown out, I don't disagree with. We threw out some words for those, but is the core root of it, I think is good. What you were saying, Craig, about getting rid of the old one, I go along with the idea of just, we have this tradition to build on. How do we use that? How do we leverage that? So I don't know if it's the mission statement that we use to leverage that, or if it's elsewhere. That's just my thought on this.
Yeah, I want to make sure that you understand that as we're setting the stage of this for you, right? We're simply doing what it was the RFP asked us to do, right? And I agree with you. This is what we saw in the room. And if the board wants to change or do that is your power, right? What you asked or tasked us to do as administration was to bring somebody in to help gather that information and bring it to you. We shared with our community, we're going to put forward a draft of these items, but ultimately the board is the decision maker. They will take all of your inspiration and do what they will of it, right? So we're not here to dicker with the board as to what words you want. We want your words now, right? You asked questions, we told you where they came from. Like when you asked your question about all, well, here's where it came from. Here's the decision or discussion points up to this point in time, right? So if there are things here that you want to keep that. If there are things here you want to jettison, do that. But right now is the time where we need to really start hearing your words, because in 1 or 2 short weeks from now, 2 short weeks from now, we're going to be at a board meeting where we're asking you to culminate. So we really need your feedback.
And I would encourage board members to keep these thoughts that you have here Because the changes that we want to enact, we should be doing at the Board of 2 weeks. So postulating and throwing ideas out here. If the Donovan Group wants to take anything under their consideration and bring anything, but if they bring this back in a whole cloth to us in 2 weeks, that's fine as well. The board will vote on this in 2 weeks.
So going back to Craig's then, if we go back to the mission statement.
Mhm.
Would it satisfy the question that you had if we inserted rigorous and relevant into this? We serve our students by providing rigorous and relevant educational opportunities that promote lifelong love of learning.
Yeah, it would, because it's similar to what we had before, and yeah, it would.
I'm seeing a lot of head nods from the board members. Tina, I can't see your head nod. Can you give me a thumbs up or whatever? Because it sounds like we've got some.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Let me know if
Yeah.
I'm typing it right.
You can see it on the screen now, but I will read it to you as soon as she's done typing it.
Is that what the two words were? Was it rigorous and relevant?
Yep. So it would now
Okay.
read this way, Tina. We serve our students by providing rigorous and relevant educational opportunities that promote lifelong love of learning. As our new mission statement.
So here's my issue with that is that my issue with that previously is you get into so as a parent of students, my children weren't provided with rigorous educational opportunities. So I guess to me it's like, okay, if we are doing this, when we get specific like that, like I guess like maybe that's more of a vision type of thing versus, yeah, I get it's a mission, but if the school is not like already providing those kinds of opportunities, I don't think we should put that like in there. When we put it in there, it sounds like, yep, this is, this is what we are doing. And if we're not doing that, then it just doesn't feel like it's cohesive with the mission statement.
That is what we should be doing, and with our vision statement being student-centered, there should be rigor for every student. It might not be rigorous every single day, but there should be. So I understand where you're coming from, and I felt the same way back with the previous administration, but I've drawn a line in the sand. And now as we move forward, this new beacon of light and how are we pushing and moving forward, that's got to be where we're driving the bus. And so if that's our goal, that we are providing these educational opportunities for everybody to learn, then that's going to be how we drive the bus. And that's going to be our underlying question as a board. All right, is that rigorous for all? Or is that fostering their, whatever, that's got to be the drive. Right.
Right. We don't fashion a mission statement on the failures of the past.
Right.
If as a school board, we're providing a high standard, a high expectation, then our mission statement should reflect that.
So Craig, what if, instead of the phrase rigorous and relevant being in there, what if it were to say, we serve our students by providing educational opportunities that promote academic excellence and a lifelong love of learning?
Something like that would be okay.
Would that work better? Because that's a little bit less vague than rigorous and relevant, and a little bit less subjective because our goal is to promote academic excellence. And it doesn't get into the question of what's the metric of rigorous, what's the metric of relevant. What do you think, Tina?
I feel like that's closer. I would agree because it academic excellence can mean different things in the different areas. I just want to make sure that we have a broad enough view of it. Thank you for the suggestion.
Does the term academic have too much of a connotation on college ready when we're looking at career and life path for our students?
I think if it does, that means we're doing an injustice, I believe.
Yeah, because I feel the
I mean,
graduate.
We
have to have
we have
academic
absolutely got academic excellence, and all areas of study.
Right.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is a benchmark of that, right? Now, do we hit that benchmark? There's some question around that right now, right? But should that be our aim, like in all areas of study, right? Again, I don't care which area you pick. It may be bowling, right? Do we definitely have standards of bowling that can lead to better performance? Absolutely, right?
No, I agree. Like I said, throw it in there to make sure.
I'm good with either. Academic excellence is fine. I like putting that in there.
I got a question. If we take that and changed it to 2, does that make them more visionary than missionary?
No, I think it might be stronger. Serve our students by providing educational opportunities. Oh, yeah. It could be either.
Okay, how are we all on this as our draftiest of drafts? Again, you're gonna have a couple weeks to think about it again, and you'll have another kick at the cat on the 26th. I'm sorry for cat lovers. I didn't mean to disparage cats. We serve our students by providing educational opportunities to promote academic excellence and a lifelong love of learning. How's that sit with you all? Okay, I'm gonna go around the room. Sam, you're okay with that? Fred?
Refer to the committee.
Okay. Lori?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I'll go with the committee.
Diana? Tina?
She got a thumbs up.
Okay, thumbs up. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so it sounds like we have a good draft of a new vision, or excuse me, a new mission statement. Moving on to our vision statement.
Yes.
Like to offer thoughts, changes. Tina? Go ahead.
Yep, thank you. Okay. The thought that I had there, as far as it's fine. We inspire school pride, but I'm wondering as far as like when it says through innovative student-centered education, can we put that first before strong community involvement? I know it's kind of a slight change there, but I'm like, shouldn't education be the first thing that we work with?
Yep, I see what you're saying.
Yep, I do too.
Okay.
Thank
Other
you.
thoughts? Fred?
I'm wondering if instead of "and" we have "bolstered by" or something along those lines. So it's innovative student-centered education, bolstered by strong community involvement, not just "and."
Thoughts, everyone? Bolstered by strong community involvement is what he's saying.
Like
Looking
this.
at that strong.
I mean, you could use the word strengthened too. Strengthened by,
Strong community involvement. I like.
yeah,
Yeah.
strengthened by strong community involvement.
$10 regular bolstered, so straight.
This is a 50 center.
And maybe we replace the word strong with something else like robust.
Yeah.
Right.
Community involvement.
Robust community, is that what you said? Bust,
Yes.
Okay.
What does that mean? What does that look like?
What does robust look like?
What does robust community
I
involvement?
think it looks like the process we used to get this far. When you have that many people in a room, and all of the emails and sit down chats and everything. I mean, like, I will tell you, I am very proud of being a WSD leader when it comes to this process, because I will tell you, I've worked in many a school districts, and to see the number of people who are willing and open to share their thoughts, and yes, that creates a wonderful atmosphere, but it also does create a problem. It creates a problem of many voices entering the room with many different thoughts, and ways of life.
Finding common ground to Yeah. Finding that
it
common
gets,
ground.
yeah, it gets to not only finding the common ground, but really threading the needle on the choice of words, because words definitely have power, right?
I understand.
And so you're talking about the power of the word robust and what it means.
I'm simply asking because as others read this, whether they're in our community, outside of our community, looking to become part of our community, that's a question that they're gonna ask as they look. Strong community involvement, that's pretty easy to understand. Does robust mean something different was all I was, we use a stronger word, does it mean something different than strong, other than it's a 50-cent word instead of a 30-cent word?
I agree, because community involvement, yes, we have parents. But that goes, to me, that would make it look like I would want to believe that all of our businesses are involved and all of, you know what I'm saying? Like that community.
Do we have a more
involvement.
meaningful adjective that we could use?
Do we need the adjective?
I don't have a problem with it, I'm simply asking.
Right, do we need an adjective?
Oh,
The
yeah.
etymology of comes from the Latin word robere, which is the Latin version of our word oak, which comes from like a Viking word or something that itself means strong. So yeah, it is literally just a synonym for strong, but
What I'm saying is,
Just have a little bit more.
do we,
yeah, that's what,
do we need the adjective? Just say.
Strengthened by community involvement.
Boom.
I do value that last line. Simply because it's something we're striving for as a district to get more community involvement in the district and a sense of ownership in the community. So I do value that. Or I guess I get a little confused is, what do we mean by we inspire school pride?
It's just gonna.
You know, what does that mean?
Yeah, initially it was just we inspire pride. If I go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
We inspire pride through strong community involvement, innovative student-centered education, and creating a just, inclusive, and vibrant community. And through the feedback of that last group, that word got inserted. We inspire school pride.
I mean, I think that that would relate to like, okay, we all have a sense of community and responsibility, you know, in the school as far as then, you know, that goes through as far as the values are concerned. You know, school pride, we respect our building, we respect each other, we respect our learning. I mean, and that builds community pride, you know, which I really think that Watertown has a lot of. So, I mean, I can see that because I think it also, you know, portrays a sense of responsibility. Like it's our responsibility for learning, it's our responsibility to take care of each other and our, you know, building and those kinds of things. I guess that's what that says to me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tina. My issue with school pride in that, and I think is that we're tying it to student-centered education. And often we see school pride in athletics, and you know, and it's it's not tied to education necessarily. It's wrapped up in the entirety of the community of the school. And so if we're going to have school pride, we need to roll that into that idea of community or something else. And not just because right the way it's written here, it seems to be tied to innovative student-centered education.
Yeah, because I think really the intent behind the group was that in the future, we want our students to be proud of their personal growth, right? We want our teachers to be proud of their work with students. We want families to be proud of the success of their students. We want the community to be proud of the value that the district brings to the overall growth of the community. So I think that's where, so I would agree that inserting the word school here gives it a little bit of a different meaning. And I'm wondering if it's just stronger to leave it out and just say, continuing with we inspire pride, because it's more encompassing.
What about we inspire,
Sorry.
we inspire achievement through.
Again, I still think that we still, the way that it's written, we're still tying into the education. Because, you know, if we celebrate state championships, national championships, we should have pride in that. We should, that's an achievement. So that's still, we're not, this does not wrap in that whole nature of of what it is to be WSD.
So what, my question is, what fosters that thought in you? Of just that, is that because that's,
The sentence structure. The sentence structure,
Okay.
inspire pride through innovative student-centered education.
right?
That's the only way, because of the sentence structure there, and the way you're using through. You're saying we inspire pride in this manner.
Okay,
You're not, and that is very descriptive, innovative student-centered education. And it is very narrow. And maybe it's the word through. That's throwing me on that. Pride isn't there, school pride. I like school pride. I like pride. Right?
Mhm.
But you're saying pride through this.
okay,
And then again, that's what's throwing me right now. There's more to us than that. And we need to, our vision statement should encapsulate the totality of who we are as, you know, WSD.
I'm just gonna chime in. I like not having the word school in there because it then connects to personal pride in their own academic growth. It might not be an A, they might have gone from an F to a D. Well, that's growth, and for some, there's pride in that. There's pride in the fact that they passed, you know, so it's not a whole school kind of thing. And then that piece gets through some of the others, but I understand what you're saying, and I'm trying to think of a word.
Mhm.
how about we do what Tina did before, which is move some things around.
Mhm.
If we say we inspire pride through first, and then have the valuing diversity and tradition, innovative, student-centered education, and just have that list, does that broaden it or not?
I'd have to see it.
Or are you still saying, Jared, I don't want any window at all? The word through is out.
You know, you just throwing this, you're mixing up a jumble there. Valuing innovative student-centered education. We inspire pride through, you know, diversity and tradition, or whatever we want to say there. And again, I don't know if diversity and tradition gives us everything. But I kind of like valuing innovative student-centered education as their opening line.
Yeah, I could see that.
Valuing innovative student-centered education. We inspire pride through whatever, strengthened by community involvement.
I think that's going into it.
Or drop it and say, valuing innovative student-centered education, we inspire pride strengthened by community involvement.
I like the way that one sounds.
I like that one.
Clean and simple.
Say
Okay,
that
so
one more time.
I'm gonna retype it at the bottom here, just so that we don't lose anything. Come on, work with me here. Okay. So what I heard is, let me see if I can capture it. Valuing innovative, student-centered education. We inspire pride. And then I forgot what you said before, strengthened. Or I think that's what you said, strengthened
Yep.
by community involvement.
This is minor, valuing innovative and student-centered education, so we don't have a comma right next to a comma, being that it's not really a list.
Then you need to change innovative to innovation.
Okay,
Is student-centered an adjective? Because it's innovative education and student-centered education.
Innovative and student, that sounds. I can understand where you're going with that. Or I could be argued the other way.
I think, yeah, I think grammar does break down at
Yeah,
a
that
certain
could be-
point, it becomes a
I
bit
could be argued the
subjective.
other way. If you wanna get rid of the comma, then an innovation institute. And I could be argued either way on that one.
Because I mean, we're not really talking about like valuing the invention of the airplane per se or peanut butter. We're not talking about innovation as a whole. We're talking about innovation in regards to education.
Right.
Yeah, I can, it's that, yeah, I can argue in favor of innovative instead of innovation. Again, I will defer to what you folks think, but.
So again, keeping in mind the question, answering the question, so in 5 years, 10 years, does valuing innovative and student-centered education, we inspire pride strengthened by community involvement, capture a vision of where we want to be?
I wonder if we're really missing that tradition and diversity piece. And that kind of like gives you a sense of we're still centered in who we are, but we are including everybody in it and moving forward as our vision.
Wanted that, if we want to have those in, valuing innovative and student-centered education, diversity and tradition, we inspire pride strengthened by community involvement. Jumble the words.
I say leave diversity, valuing tradition, I say leave those out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think diversity's got a lot of political connotations to it.
And transformation too. When I used to teach poetry, we would use very few words, but they'd be really great words. They'd have a lot of weight to them. So the fewer words you have, it's important to get the right words in there. Transformation, I don't think belongs in the big three.
And I'm going to argue with you on that because the way we are structured right now, we need to transform as a district
To what?
to a, as we've already talked about with the facilities and everything like this, we need to transform. So,
Well, and I'm okay with transformation defined like that.
Right. I
But-
think that's the key, right? Is defining it because it can be misinterpreted. I think of transformation as achieving your vision, right? Like, so we're going from a current state to a future state. That's the transformation. So if you think about our current state of career and technical education, what do we want that to look like? We want it to be transformed into something different moving forward or enhanced moving forward. That's what the word transformation is meant to be. It's meant to signal change for the future.
Yeah, I believe when Linda O'Neill asked at our meeting, fourth meeting, maybe it was our third meeting, can't remember exactly which one now. What does that mean? And I said, well, the way that I've taken it, and the way that I think our administrative leadership takes it, is holding important a continuous improvement process to always get better. We're transforming, we're engaging in that continuous improvement process to continue to be better, right?
I see both sides of this particular issue because, when we were first talking about ESSER dollars, we wanted to utilize those dollars in the most transformative way possible for a district.
Mhm.
And I know that that's the intention of our district to use that word transformation in that way. I believe that that's the way that it's used, but it can be misconstrued. So if your intentions are exactly what you mentioned, I think those are the words that you use to convey that. Like we want to strive for continuous improvement. Okay, so that's very concise. And that can't be misconstrued.
Yeah, but tradition, innovation, continuous improvement doesn't roll off the tongue.
You could use the word advancement, that gets a little bit closer, or development, but that sounds kind of like you're a home building company, so I don't know.
It was dry.
Developing land.
I mean, I'm not trying to pull out $5 words every 5 seconds, but we could use amelioration. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean,
Like that.
I do too,
I
it's
too-
very unique.
right. I too want, I am leery about offending people with whatever word we use. But I also
Okay,
am to the point of which the English language is so unique, right? I also don't want us to stray away from words that we've been using for thousands of years because somebody may take offense to one or another.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
thing to do is to choose the word that we think what it is and make sure we're clear at stating what it means in all of our materials that are
That's what
there.
I was gonna say, Jared, is, you're seeing a statement out of the context of, or you're seeing a tagline here out of the context of the whole package or the whole picture, which is there's so much in terms of supporting material that goes with the plan. You're just focusing on, one component at a time here out of the larger picture. So I think we can definitely tend to making sure we're very clear about what we mean with these words.
About growth.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily the same thing. I think, I'm wondering with this though, okay, we've got these three words, we've seen them on the slide. If the first, you flip over the cover of this, the first thing is tradition, innovation, transformation. Here's what we mean by those.
Yep.
And clearly that's the first page you see, and we define them as we want. As Jared said, transformation is continuous improvement, doing better for the district always, whatever.
Doing better for those we serve,
Yeah, that takes
always.
away some of that. Hey, look, page one, here you go.
Mhm.
I feel like that's all the reason why this vision statement must be concise. Because then there's no way possible that transformation can be taken in a nefarious way or perceived as a nefarious thing. When you're talking about your vision statement, because everything else falls in line and it is formed around that. So this is our definition right here. The rest of it is then falling in line with that definition. That's just my perspective on it.
Can I ask a question? Those three words, tradition, innovation, and transformation, we've seen this. Is this the only place that those words are gonna be, or is that our little,
Or tagline.
it's our tagline? So if that tagline is everywhere, they're not gonna have the explanation of what that means. I'm just throwing that out,
And that's our.
because I've been questioning where that came from through all of this, because I wasn't really sure what that meant. Because tradition and innovation are two opposites, so it's coming together now, but a couple weeks ago, when I first started seeing that, I was kind of curious where that was gonna go. So I'm not saying it's good or bad, I'm just throwing that out there on what we're trying to.
Could I throw out
So-
an actual?
As-
Oh, go ahead, Craig.
Tina's got her. hand.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So as we're talking through this, I guess I agree with Fred as far as transformation, and Lori Miller, I appreciate, your definition as far as change. Yeah, you guys, we need change. That's why, that's why we're working so hard. We're, working to change, when we're looking at policy and strategic plan and, new goals and all those kinds of things. We want change. That's what we're working for as far as student achievement and things like that. And a couple thoughts as far as these words that we're using and things like that. I'm sorry if the word diversity hits a nerve with some people, but sometimes we just need to get over that as well. You know what? It's offensive to me if you're not thinking that we don't provide a diversity, education as far as to our diverse students. I mean, diversity, we're talking about students with disabilities, students with, advanced learning. We're talking about, students of different ethnic backgrounds. I mean, that's just what it is. We have a diverse population. I mean, I take us back to the pandemic. There was a lot of things talking about masks and things like that. Because I was sensitive about that and I wanted to make sure that, students were safe and wear a mask, did I ask for us to say, well, you can't say the word mask? No, like diversity, like that just describes our student population. And I would sure hope that we're not looking to exclude any student population as far as our education is concerned.
Oh, sorry.
I would say that some of that is assumed.
Some of what is assumed.
I mean, we don't have to put the word diversity into our vision statement in order for us to realize that we value that as a district. Of course we do. Who wouldn't? Let this board, let us committee remember that our previous vision statement was excellent for all. That's all encompassing. There's a level of assumption that's made there.
Can I bring us back to the vision statement? The grammatical part of it. We have an independent and a dependent clause. Sorry, the teacher and me. So the words before the comma are our dependent clause, afters are independent. So if we look at the independent clause, starting with we, and just look at that as a standalone, we inspire pride strengthened by community involvement. I don't understand what that means. I don't understand what that's getting at. So we've moved things around. I understand why we moved it around, but now if we look at the independent clause, I don't understand how that's standing alone. I don't think we're getting the meaning across that we originally intended, or that was originally intended. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there for discussion.
At this point, I'm fine with our previous vision statement. That are my 2 cents, but
Do you mean the one that's crossed out on top?
no, that says excellence for all, it's Watertown Way.
It is brief, so I mean, there's an advantage there, but I don't know, I don't think this looks too bad. If we inspire pride strengthened by community involvement. Strengthened by community involvement. That's why we had the word through in there originally.
I know, but we're not inspiring pride through the community. So if you look at the purpose of an independent clause, that sentence by itself, what it's stating isn't what we're getting at.
Right.
The dependent clause gives some descriptive to it, but we have to start with the independent clause first and look at what is that saying. And then the dependent clause strengthens that. Sorry for the little grammar lesson.
Oh, I appreciate that. So if you took out, like, if we just, if we just focus on the independent clause here, it's we inspire pride through innovative student-centered education. It's different than what we're saying down here. We're saying we inspire pride that comes from the community involvement. Up here, we're saying we inspire pride, right? Because of our work to be innovative and student-centered.
So kind of going back pride with, the through. Could be it's pride with innovative.
And
I knew where you're going.
My problem with through was it is focused on innovative student-centered education. If we're inspiring pride, it is all encompassing. It's beyond just that. That's his classroom work too.
Well, I think that's why people wanted the phrase school pride, because it was about the focus and kind of the purpose of the district. The purpose of the district is not to provide a cohesive worldview and sense of self-worth.
But school pride there doesn't fix that, because we do not celebrate. We don't have a pep band and cheerleaders for the A+ students. We don't. And so when we say school pride, it isn't for, honor roll. We don't have them stand up in the cafeteria and get applause. It just doesn't happen. So we want to say school pride, and we want to encompass everything as part of that.
So without school, it's just pride.
It's pride, but still, I come back to the through is this. You know, we are more than just innovative student-centered education.
Well, we may be, but I mean that,
I mean, it kind of sounds like some of the discussion that we're having as far as like where the words go, like, are we focusing, like our vision statement is what we're focusing on is pride? Like I'm hearing that a lot and I'm just wondering, is that really what we want our vision to focus on? Just seems like it should be about, you know, like maybe it's the student-centered education, you know, like supported by the community involvement. But I think we need more than just pride.
I wonder, please tell me if you think I'm taking us in a different direction, but I'm sitting here contemplating, I'm wondering if we say we inspire our students through, or we inspire our students with innovative student-centered education, strengthened by community involvement, keeping the focus on the student versus the word pride. I'm wondering if the word pride is the struggle here.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Can you type it in there so I can see it,
Yeah.
please? I'm a vision.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fred, I like that idea of having the honor roll students stand up at lunch.
Hey,
A great idea.
And I actually like that, if I can just say, we inspire our students. To me, that's more meaningful than worried about pride.
students.
Just not too simple.
I like that worded better.
And maybe because then you have students,
Going right there.
maybe you can do, we inspire our students with an innovative, rigorous education strengthened by community involvement. And then you get the word rigorous in there.
But we had that up above, or did we leave that out?
Is that,
Watch it out.
Innovative, rigorous centered, rigorous centered education.
rigorous education? Yeah, you probably take the centered out of there.
If it's student-centered, rigor is implied.
Mhm.
Because student-centered, depending upon where your learning level is, that's where your needs would be met. Because I tried to put it in there earlier too.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking like, it sounds a little bit like I sell baked goods to my bakery patrons. It just seems a little bit redundant to have the word student.
Oh, I agree. I don't like students and student there. That would be my,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like having
Yeah.
we inspire our students. I think that's a better way to put it.
Right.
We inspire all learners. We inspire our learners.
I would drop we and just put inspiring. Inspiring learners,
I guess.
innovative student-centered education strengthened by community
No,
involvement.
it's not a sentence, it's a fragment.
Well, it's a vision statement. Excellence for all is a fragment too, right?
That was a tagline, I think.
Was
Yeah,
that
and
the-
that was- Yeah, it was for the mission statement too. Yeah.
I have a question. I think we talked ourselves around the diversity discussion. But we did not, secure anything around tradition.
I don't like tradition in the vision with tradition in the tagline.
Okay,
I would agree.
Tradition's fine. We don't need it in the mission and vision.
okay, but we have innovation in there and innovation in the tagline, so I
like that word.
just wondering your thoughts on that, but.
Yeah, we could take the word innovative out too. We inspire our students. We inspire our learners with a student-centered education strengthened by community involvement. Tightens up the sentence.
I'm okay either way. I'm okay with innovative in there just because that's where we're moving. We're moving toward innovation.
Yeah.
That is a focus that we're on. And yeah, it's part of it. So I could go either direction.
You also have innovative and innovation. It's the different than tradition and tradition.
Yeah, definitely.
If we had traditional above, I would be
I agree.
as Good with it.
I understand the redundancy part, and I still kind of, I get it.
Do we need to have our?
So if I said with traditional roots, you were okay with that. So if we said with traditional roots, we inspire our learners.
No,
Well, that's why I'm saying. You're like, I can do that. I'm like, wait, you can't really do that.
I love that response. No,
Notice I did that on purpose, Tina. So you weren't in the room, you couldn't see my face. I don't know. Okay, thank you.
But I understand what you're saying, that if we have innovation down at the bottom,
Yeah.
do we
right.
need it in a sentence there? No, it's redundant. And just like I agree with Fred, we don't need the word our in there. We inspire
Learners.
learners.
I mean, and just as easily, we could say
Yeah.
with transformational student-centered education. I'm
Yeah,
using the word
maybe-
transformation. That's what I'm saying, right?
We inspire learners with student-centered education strengthened by community involvement.
I like it.
I take out our before learners. You don't need that.
We could say use a different, what would it be, adjective, strong. We inspire, learners with strong student-centered education.
Robust.
That's good.
Student centered,
Thank
student
you for
centered.
someone else saying it. I was gonna say robust. Do you want an adjective in there?
I don't.
no, we don't.
It's.
I don't think it's needed. I think,
Yeah, student centered.
okay.
So as I read it, it shares we inspire learners with student-centered education strengthened by community involvement. Yeah or nay? Okay, I'm gonna go around the room. Sam? Yes, you're gonna defer to the group. Lori?
I'm okay with that.
It's okay.
Tina?
It's okay, but I do need to think about it.
Okay. Okay.
I'll defer to the comment.
Okay. So it sounds like we have a mission draft and a vision statement draft that will clean up and bring to the board.
Yes.
Any
Any-
discussion on?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Jared. You and I were like fighting for our airspace, which we always do, right? Yes. So
That, I'm trying to help you in the room because I know how it is being afar in Zoom. So I'm trying to help you navigate through.
no,
Go ahead.
not a problem at all. Any concerns or thoughts, feedback about core values?
I have a question. Are these in any specific order?
No.
They are not. I just alphabetized them.
Oh, they're not alphabetized though.
A, B,
H
C.
comes before I.
Oh, man, you're right. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's what I was gonna suggest alphabetizing if they weren't, but that's why I didn't know if they had some. Sorry, you look at me like I'm nitpicking.
No,
I
it's
don't mean to.
good. Sometimes you just are in the work too much that you don't see the things that you need to see here.
Totally, I get it.
I have a problem with valuing others' beliefs. The word valuing.
Would you rather use respecting?
Can't use the word
You can't use,
definition.
yeah, you can't use the word definition. Honoring,
Acknowledging.
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 Yeah, I don't know. I understand the idea that the word valuing can be vague, and it's like, so am I supposed to assign a certain level of value to someone's beliefs? What if someone has beliefs that directly contradict with mine? Am I supposed to value their beliefs as equal to my own? That can get difficult and tricky, right? Because you shouldn't ask someone to invalidate their own beliefs by valuing someone else's.
Right.
So I get that, but yeah, I don't know that, I can't think of any other words that work better than the word
Yeah.
value.
I do this a lot when I get feedback from sometimes you as a board, sometimes the staff, sometimes the community, even my wife. I say I value your comments, right? That doesn't mean I necessarily respect, condone, agree with, whatever. It just means I value for you sharing them to the world with me, right? And so I don't know if anybody's taking the word value to mean I have to then agree with you, right?
I would disagree with that. I think that when we look at, the strategic plan, this needs to be in a concise, well, a language that our students can understand as well. You know, and valuing, others' beliefs, you just let that alone on its own. I can see the argument that Sam was making, that it can, the word value can be very vague.
I'm wondering how our principals and our teachers would look at that. Because I talked with a former student who's a pastor in town who said that one of his 8th grade confirmands was reading her Bible after she finished her homework. And she was told to put her Bible away because it might offend the furries. I mean, this religion is okay, this one isn't. You know, if you have to value others' beliefs, how is it interpreted by the people who are going to take action?
Lori?
Could we just say treating everyone with dignity and kindness?
Are we
So
still
that-
on the empathy one? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, that one is, we actually have that, treating everyone with dignity and kindness down in the respect. That came out as a definition for respect. And you see that, oops, sorry, you see valuing others' beliefs, identities, and achievements there as well.
Isn't that where you were to start with?
Yeah, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah, I thought that's.
Yeah. well,
Oh, I'm
there's-
sorry, I changed. I had this up here under empathy. Cause it was
And
here.
I'm wondering if we're kind of, maybe some confusion is coming in is because we're talking about our core values. And so as far as if that's our heading and then we're talking about valuing in a different way. For me, okay, if you change it as far as empathy is concerned to the understanding and acknowledging others, if that's maybe a better term because we're already talking about values. I think that works as far as a substitute.
So if we use acknowledging down below as well, acknowledging others' beliefs.
Not appreciating.
I think that's got kind of the same vibe for.
As value.
It's
It's
bigger.
like, I'm going to assess the value of it, because then the problem is, right, someone can get, like, if I'm like a jeweler, someone can give me fake gold and I can evaluate it or I can appreciate it very poorly. The appreciation of the object is not there. And our goal, everyone's goal within the district should be to respect other people's opinions. That doesn't necessarily mean agree or approve of. It just means understand that everyone has the inherent right to believe what they want to believe.
Yeah, I don't know if acknowledge gets you there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in the top section where it says valuing under empathy, considering others' perspectives would probably be better. Consider is good. I think it's fair and it gets to the point of what empathy is about. I do think that what Lori said for respect is probably the best solution. Tighten up the definition and have the definition of respect be treating everyone with dignity and kindness, because that is the definition of respect. It's a polite, civilized society.
So let's key on one at a time.
Sorry, I thought that was. the
No,
one we were.
we've been jumping around, so let's just for focus.
Okay.
Respect. Okay, we started with Lori and Ken bounced. So we kind of have it right now, the idea on the table, treating everyone with dignity and kindness. Can we all find agreement that that is what we mean by respect? Are we missing anything?
I feel like it's a.
I think that sounds good. Are we just looking for like Webster's definitions or what are we like? I guess I'm just confused as to why we're looking for this.
Great question, Tina. So again, these definitions came from the people that were part of the planning work group. When they identified these as the core values that they prioritize, we asked them to define them as well. And so we took their definitions and kind of merged them together. So That's how these definitions came forward.
This is trivial, but under integrity and honesty, it's
Can we hold on? Can we
Oh.
finish respect and then we'll go to empathy? We keep jumping around just for timeliness. I'm jumping to Webster's definition of respect. Are we missing anything? Sam, normally you're the one on the definitions.
I'm looking
You're
at,
normally very good with,
I'm looking at Webster, but I'm pretty sure I'm looking at the Webster from 1828, so. Or,
I didn't jump there because normally you do, so I was
no, I do
deferring.
think that treating everyone with dignity and kindness is the important thing. I think both of those words communicate it very well, because everyone has dignity regardless of their beliefs. We all have human dignity, and kindness is the core trait that allows a society to stay civilized and keep on moving well. So I can't think of anything better than that.
All right, going around the room. Treating everyone with dignity and kindness.
I'm good with that.
Yes, yes. Tina? Good, yes, yeah.
She's got thumbs up.
Good. Then we jump to empathy. It currently reads understanding and valuing others' perspectives to create a caring and school community. I'm gonna bounce us back to, we're talking about values and valuing, form of the word shouldn't be there. So if we take valuing, just that word out, understanding others' perspectives to create a caring and school community is what we have. Is that what we want it to say? Are we missing anything? Fred's him and
I like considering that Sam threw in, because I think if you just take out valuing, I can understand, but I'm not taking into consideration.
So maybe considering and understanding, because you consider in order to understand.
correct. I was, yes.
Speaking to
Yep,
others.
no, you're all good. We're on the same page.
Oh, see.
Consider,
Yeah, seek to understand others' perspectives to create caring, I mean, I
It
don't know.
needs to be, it needs to be an ING word,
Yeah.
seeking to understand,
seeking understanding,
seeking to understand,
seeking understanding.
and
Seeking.
two participles.
Let's take that up. Let's go back.
And
Like considering.
Mhm.
Okay.
Understand.
considering and understanding others' perspectives
Mhm.
to create a caring and school community. Good?
I'm good with that.
Tina?
yes.
Craig?
Craig, Tina's got a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay. Honesty, telling the truth and expressing your values even when it is difficult. The word values in
We
there.
have the best.
Gotta get rid of.
What expressing your values.
I will say, I'm actually impressed that this is here. Both this and integrity. This actually, I put this on my exit survey and I'm surprised it's here, so I do agree with that.
Can we just put telling the truth even when it is difficult?
Yeah, that gets rid of the second person problem with integrity and honesty. That's the only place where it's in second person. Your.
Oh, we gotta get rid of the word values. So,
Telling the truth, even when it's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, because honesty is not saying everything you think. Honesty is
So can I add the other part when it talked about, expressing yourself or expressing oneself?
Mhm.
There's truth in saying, but there's truth in action, right? And the second part is talking about your
That's-
actions,
Yeah.
right? And so the telling the truth and expressing oneself, even when it's difficult.
How about expressing the truth even when it is difficult? That tightens it up even more.
I just wanted to make sure that we embody the actions of people, not just the words of people.
Definitely, yeah, and express is a wider word than tell, yeah, for sure.
Telling the truth, expressed through action, even when it is difficult.
Can you say that again? I missed.
Telling the truth, expressed.
I think you have to be
through
louder.
action, even when it's difficult.
Telling the truth expressed through action, even when it's difficult.
Good.
I mean,
Sometimes there's not an action with time.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I think expressing the truth is tighter and like, yeah.
I don't feel like expressing the truth.
expressing the truth for someone under fifth grade, what does that mean? They're telling the truth,
That makes sense.
Doing it fast,
you know,
express.
Could we say telling the truth through words and action?
Yes, that makes
I like
sense.
that.
I like that. Even when it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Yes,
that.
Tina, Craig, Sam? Nods, yes,
I think.
maybe.
I kind of like Jared's suggestion, but. You know,
I wanted to make sure that we get both.
right, I'll go along with. Or what you.
So what do we have? I can't read it on my glasses on.
Telling the truth through words and action, even when it is difficult. Words and actions, maybe. Yes.
Like,
Yeah, words and action.
like
I
that.
like that. I think that it's all ages too.
Okay. Perseverance. Keep going or,
Wait, you didn't do integrity.
sorry. Sorry, I'm going off the other one because
Yeah,
it's out of
yeah.
alphabetical now. I can't. Someone read that for me.
So it says
Integrity.
integrity is doing the right thing, being honest, and taking responsibility for your actions.
Do we want being honest in there when honesty isn't already listed as a? Or do we want to double
Well,
hit it? I don't,
That goes
that
to
goes with
definition of
integrity.
integrity. Yeah.
I agree.
I have no problem with that one.
You could take, if you wanted to keep the second person thing out, what Dan was talking about, you could just end it after the word responsibility, doing the right thing, being honest, and taking responsibility is workable, but.
Yeah, and if you don't like the word honest, because it's honesty is up there, you can say being truthful.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it. I just was throwing it out there.
Right, and I do kind of like that edit, you're taking responsibility, I mean, so if that's interpreted as. I got a feeling great on my, assignment. I need to take responsibility for that as integrity. Is it an action that I got a feeling great on my assignment? That can be kind of, it's confusing. I mean, it doesn't just speak to discipline, I guess.
Exactly.
My suggestion here, I feel like you're leading me to a cliff and and taking responsibility, but I know it's just minor. But if we start with taking responsibility, comma, doing the right thing, comma, and being honest. That taking responsibility, and maybe it's because I read it for your actions, I just feel like I'm left hanging.
Okay.
I like that, and then the word honest leads into the next word, which is honesty. I think that's nice, actually.
Okay, and being honest, I think I missed something.
We just put taking responsibility first. So taking responsibility, comma, doing the right thing, comma, and being honest.
Yep, got it. Okay.
And if we don't want honest, if we want being truthful,
Where do you fall in the Oxford comma? Do you need that?
Oxford comma is always necessary.
Alex and then writes an AP style.
Okay, moving on.
I love it, I love it. Perseverance.
and I just ignore it every time. Perseverance. Keep going or adapt when faced with challenges. Always striving for growth and academic and personal improvement. Okay, too many ands there.
There are too many ands there. Yep, I've been sitting with that a little bit.
Keep going.
Let's start with adapting. Adapting. And.
You could say keep
Continue
going.
to face the challenge.
You could just say keep going when faced with challenges, or you could say striving for growth and personal improvement even when faced with challenges, or something to that effect.
Webster's definition is continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition.
Mm-hmm.
It's so keep going is continuing.
We still have to have that be adapting then, if that's staying in there.
I don't know if you need adapting, because
I don't
adapting's not
think so
necessarily.
either.
students.
Okay.
So do you want,
Continuing with-
you want continuing instead of keep going?
Yes.
I like that.
Continuing when faced with challenges. Always striving for, I think we could just say always striving for growth and personal improvement.
I like that.
Do we need growth if we have personal improvement?
Yeah, I figure
Is that redundant?
striving for academic and personal improvement.
Academic growth and personal improvement.
Because then it encompasses, yeah.
Other stuff. I don't know, when it comes to perseverance, I always look at it like you're striving to overcome adversity. When it comes to perseverance. And I don't know.
This is why you need that little end statement that says even when faced with difficulty, right?
I personally preferred the previous definition before that modification because, I mean, we want more than academic personal improvement. I mean, kids who maybe perseverance for them is, you know, they're on the track team and, you know, they're going to persevere through something difficult. And, you know, because they overcame that and they persevered through that, that is going to help them academically. Like, I don't think it should just be, you know, on the academic portion. I like the personal improvement as well.
I'm good with that. Removing academic, just be growth and personal improvement.
So we'll do it like this.
Instead of continuing, I'm gonna go back to the Miriam's definition, continued effort. Continuing what?
Continuing,
Continuing what?
no, continuing is a noun, continue. Or
Not a
verb,
noun.
continuing, you continued.
Is continuing then?
If continuing is not a noun.
Is can be.
I can't remember the effort.
Some of the different kinds of words.
I think continuing works.
We could change it to striving for growth and personal involvement when faced with challenges. Does that imply continuing forward?
I feel like that works.
I'm good with that.
You guys, you make me feel so good when you accept my, oh, shoot, when you accept my recommendation. Let's see, striving.
Perseverance, though, by definition, doesn't have anything to do with personal improvement and growth. It's muttering through the tough time. So, yeah, we want personal achievements, but if we're looking, I guess this is
It's
bigger,
muttering-
this is our value.
It's muttering with an outcome.
Right, that's what I was just getting to,
know,
because it's our
like,
value, you want the
and-
outcome with it, okay.
So that what you just need to determine what your outcome is, and that's what you guys were talking about. Is it personal growth? Is it academic growth? Is it a mixture between them?
Got it,
You know,
because it's the value, it's not just a definition.
right?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think the word perseverance brings to mind, for me at least, it brings to mind like hiking and like trying to get to the, I went to Colorado 2 weeks ago, so I'm totally biased on this, but this is where my brain's at. But it brings to mind like trying to get to the top of the mountain, right? That's kind of the idea. So there is improvement, growth, accomplishment implied because it's a school district.
What do you put achievement instead of growth?
Yeah.
I like growth.
Sorry, Fred,
If you
I
do
like
that,
growth.
Okay.
as I say, you're gonna move away from what Tina shared about growth, right? If you do that,
I'm just going back to your growth mindset comment about a half hour ago. That's why I like growth. All right, are we good with perseverance as it's written? Going around? Tina?
Yeah.
And Lori's still thinking, Tina's got a thumbs up. You're good? All right, and we've already done respect.
Yeah, great. So then, hopefully this is easier. Our priorities and our priorities, I don't know if you need me to type them on a different slide. Can you read them? Okay. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you. So our priorities are across the top. We have 5 priorities. And really the wording is something we can play with, but the concepts are, the first one is about academic excellence, student growth. The second one is about how we support, how we compensate, how we ensure that we have educators, high quality educators. Connecting as a community is about community engagement, outreach, communication, marketing. Intentional resource allocation is about being smart with the funds that we have and how to get more funds. And innovative facilities and use is about maybe being strategic about how we use our facilities, but also this begs the question about referendum for facilities as well. So those are the categories. Happy to adjust wording, but we leaned hard into the wording of existing language in the district already around pillars. And I don't know, Jason, if you want to add to that.
These pillars to the board last year as like operational pillars. And that work comes from collaboration between principals, directors, and Dr. Burke.
You have a clear miss here, and I can't believe you did that. You have all in team. That should mean we got this.
It was before that we got this movement. We were ahead of ourselves.
I love it.
The all-in team is the only one that just, looking at it in this view, like, when we talked about it, fine, but when I look at, I know what
Jason's
it
over the
means.
shaking, so like, God, not more, we got this.
No, I just,
No, he likes it. That's the problem.
Oh, boy.
For quick clarification, Laurie, are the subject that we're talking about, is it only those top 5
Yeah.
yellow boxes?
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So the hard work comes like addressing the things that are in white through our goals and our strategies. So right now we're just focusing on landing on the priority areas for those goals to lay or rest.
Yeah. That white part you see, that is the community sharing with us
Goal
what
area.
they think
Yeah.
what they think the work should be. So those would help inform goals in those areas. I will tell you, like administration, the board, we could have other white things that we would add to those, or we would say, that's good. I hear you. This is more important right now as a goal, right? So just
Yeah.
again, the white there is just informational. This is what came out of the voice of the community.
No, yeah, like, it's like Brett said, the reason I was asking was because I was thinking like, okay, so like, I'm gonna be here until the ed services meeting, I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
yeah.
with that, and then I'm gonna go home and go to sleep. But yeah, okay, cool, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know, I like the way they all sound, I agree, all in team is a little bit
I don't.
unclear to me.
We got this, it's right there.
If you're gonna use something that's a little bit catchier, I do think that we got this would be a snappier one. And the idea is, it's about having a quality administration and faculty, and
Yep.
I don't have too many recommendations. A+ team, I suppose, but
I would agree with that, if I'm looking at the yellow headings without context about all in team, I wouldn't have the idea that this is specific to the teamwork regarding our staff and cohesiveness there. So it would be nice to come up with something more specific to that.
But when we did do this work with principals and director team, we did define those. So this is void of the kind of definition. And so
Right.
when we talked about all in team, we defined it by saying recruit, develop, support, and retain team members through investment in all employees, encouraging innovation, affirming exemplary professional practices, and celebrating success. So that just added more context where this is going back.
So if that's the case, then do you have that kind of definition for every single one of these?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So when we put together the full plan, that will need to be included. And so that'll help, like Jason said, looking at these terms without the definitions next to them is maybe a little bit challenging.
Well, then I may have issue with how you may contextualize some of these headings, without that context.
Yeah, I would
Yeah, I
say-
was just thinking the same thing. We can provide that with the plan when we bring it to the board, and we can bring this all to you prior to the board meeting as well for a review.
Yeah. Yes, probably bring the definitions for them, and then in that case, I would say that you should change all in team to we got this.
Ours,
With an exclamation point.
Yes, with an exclamation.
With
Not
the
the-
hashtag?
headings go,
Yeah, it'll start on Twitch.
can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Tina, you broke up.
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
yes.
Okay. Oh, okay, is this better?
Mhm.
Okay, I have no problem with the headings. I mean, I'm sure you guys will define them. It means the most of the people, you know, need to be in the workings of it. Yes, I just wanted to make sure that,
Oh, we're losing her.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Tina.
And you're muted now, Tina. I think you. Can you hear us, Tina?
Can't hear you, Tina.
Do you want to text me or put it in the chat?
Oh, hold on.
She just texted me and
Okay,
said, I'll talk again in a couple minutes.
now if I
Okay.
can, I'm so
Okay.
sorry. I think I'm in a bad.
Well, Tina, we'll catch you again in a couple minutes.
Yep. So we'll do that for you all so that you can see everything that we did tonight. I'll bring it back to you and have it for you so that you can look at it prior to the board meeting and encourage you to ask us questions, right? If something's unclear, because our goal is to be very clear and again, try to capture the work that really is quite moving. There was a point where I got teary-eyed watching that group of individuals work so hard to prioritize. It's really inspiring to see such a mix of community members come together and be all in, as an all-in team, but to be all in and working so hard to find that common ground for what's best for our kids. So really great work. I will include with that a focus of design for you, so you can also provide feedback on that. But really the next step here is that we're working to finalize this overview plan so that we can put in place before the start of the school year, even putting some of these goals together, bringing forward those goals to help us actualize the plan during this first year of the plan. Typically, our plans are 3 to 5 years, and we have this one set to be a 3-year plan, so carrying us from 2024 to 2027. And so we'll map out the different kinds of goals and strategies that we want to have each of the years leading up to the 26-27 school year and through that year, so that you can see that as well. So that's kind of the next steps, along with just a whole series of communications. And the communications for this includes multiple things. It's creating, once we have a design finalized, it's creating like social media graphics and content for the district to use and sharing the plan, but also, sharing progress about the plan. It's creating news releases, it's creating a slide deck that you can use to share about your strategic plan and also use with other presentations when you're reporting out to the community about progress being made with the plan. It's creating some type of promotional brochure that not only captures your strategic plan, but also includes like by the numbers or points of pride, your biggest brags, if you will, of the districts to use in one encompassing piece. And also putting together a video that rolls out the plan, and something that we have been doing at the Donovan Group that is getting a lot of good traction with other places across the country is developing a type of kinetic typography video that is really fast paced with music and great imagery from your district, but shares the components of the plan along with some of those, biggest pride points to celebrate and highlight what the district has to offer. And that can be used, on social media. It can be part of your signatures. It can be used on your website, of course. So those are just some of the communications that are coming once the board has an opportunity to have that final presentation and opportunity to take action on improving the plan. And then that comes with the rollout and implementation. Ultimately, once it's implemented, then the hard work comes in terms of operationalizing the plan, monitoring whether we need to make adjustments or if we need to double down on some strategies, and making sure that we report out on a consistent basis on the progress. So I know we've talked about some ways to do that moving forward, including setting up a type of dashboard. So those are kind of the next steps. It's been a long conversation, but I think a really well-deserved and productive conversation. Does anybody have any other thoughts, questions? There's Tina's face. I've been looking at the screen for so long, I haven't seen faces. There's Lynn's smiling face. Any other thoughts or questions?
Let's go back to Tina. Tina, are you at a place now where you can share?
She's just frozen.
Oh, she's frozen.
Aw.
Try again, Tina. We can't hear you, Tina. Oh, she's gonna get out of the car.
Yeah, I think she's given up on the car. Oh.
She's on.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about then moving to the next agenda item. And Tina, if you do get to a place, we can always go back to your comments. Or you can also share them on the 26th at the board meeting. So the next part of the agenda is that piece where we're talking about moving forward. And for this, Lori, I'm going to have to excuse you because we are going to be talking about a proposal that you proffered from your company.
No
and
problem.
it's only good to maybe do that here. And then if they have questions, I can certainly bring them to you.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
Thank you for your input tonight.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you for everything.
So as we transition into the next steps, remember our original RFP talked about asking companies for continued support in the implementation phase, which would be helping with the finalization of the goal structures, making sure that those goals had measurable outcomes, and that the measurable outcomes were continued to be displayed to our public, our families, and our staff, as well as you as the board, in a fashion that we knew communicated everything that we were doing well and had transparency. And the initial discussion that we had gotten from the Donovan Group had a price tag to that. We subsequently, a different group of administration, that's starting to do some pre-referendum planning, put out, some quote responses, in regards to, asking companies about survey work that we might do around, referenda, and, support for a referenda, whether that was on a capital referendum or if it was, continuing in an operating fashion or operating referendum, and those kinds of things. When we put this out to the Donovan Group, they said that our continuing work with you, in strategic planning, is continuing work that we do with all customers in relation to communication, support, strategic planning, and referenda services. So their response was basically, if you continue with us on your strategic planning, you'll get referendum services, and those kinds of things free. And that's part of what we do. So with that, discussion point, I shared, what was in my ability to approve. And I said, well, at your rate of $4,000 a month for continued services, I can approve 4 months, within my budget and my authority. So I want you to know, I'm informing you that I said yes to that. That'll get us through November, and that will get us through a lot of our pre-referendum, discussion, points. It will continue to provide Melissa with a lot of communication around not only referenda, but also strategic planning. And it'll continue to help support Jason and the administrative team in the finalization and development of goals, measurable outcomes, and the start of a creation of a dashboard. If you would like to move past that, I need your authority to move past that through the rest of the year into June. So what I have for you to look at and review is the services that we would get, in that document. You can see that there are some things that are highlighted in there. Those are the things that, are strategic plan based that we would like to move forward in the RFP, along with some other, things related to referendum planning. It's a large, document, basically outlining the services that we would get through Donovan Group, in relation to the strategic planning and other services that they provide their, monthly subscription customers. They support a lot of school districts. You know the work that they've done to this point to get us this far. And I will continue them, through November, because I just do think it's prudent and it's within my authority and budget to do that. And I will make sure that I continue that to the ability under my authority. And then you can tell me if you want to move forward further. I just think it's very prudent. We hired a communication specialist, and I do not want to throw them first into referendum, communications and strategic planning communications only. Because remember, we brought them on to strengthen our just everyday communications with each other and with our families, and everything else. And so having that support specifically for referendum services, as well as our strategic plan, is important for our communications team. But also it's important for Jason and our data and our curricular teams, building teams, as we, start the first steps in these processes. So that's why I've made the decision I have to go with the first 4 months.
Can you please clarify something
Yeah.
for me? You mentioned things that are highlighted.
That's right.
Can you go back to that? There's a bunch of things there. What does the highlighted mean compared to the non-highlighted?
So I believe the reason she put the highlights in is because that really stood out as stages 4 and 5 of the old RFP that we had, the things that we were looking for, like the dashboard, continued support in those goals and
You'll
development.
still be doing the other things as well.
Exactly. She does the whole list, but
Got
she wanted to highlight the things in the old RFP.
That met what we asked for.
Right.
So we get that and then some.
You get that and then everything else that's not highlighted, right?
Thank you.
In this discussion point, so.
Craig, did I see your hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like this, so then you
Yeah.
kind of this, so I wasn't sure.
Sorry. Yeah, previously we had we had D&D do
communications audit.
A new communications audit, and part of the rationale behind selecting them was that we, as previously when I was on the strategic planning, part of the planning committee, we felt that they would be a good fit for moving forward with referendum. Obviously, the timetable has shifted since then. Has there been any consideration given to D&D moving forward?
Yep, so D&D is retiring. And certainly would transition or make a recommendation to transition to one of their proteges that were coming through and working with us on our account. But there was some consideration in that. My consideration in this, Craig, is if I'm going forward with the strategic planning pieces that I was looking for anyway, and we get the other stuff for free, I don't necessarily need to go out and look for referendum communication planning and other sorts.
But nah. That assumes that there was a desire for this committee to move forward with the Donovan Group when it comes to referendum planning.
That's what I'm asking it for right now is what kind of support would you have for that? I want to take the next steps in moving forward with the strategic planning for the next 4 months. I'd actually like to consider that for the rest of the year, which is also part of the discussion. If along those 4 months I can get some free consulting on some referendum work that I see us having, I think that's prudent. If you guys want me to bid that out and get some other and pay extra, I will do that too.
I think it's worth a discussion.
Right. Yeah. And again,
That was the purpose today.
that's the purpose of tonight, right? I'm not saying let's lock in and go. I'm saying I know what we need from a strategic planning standpoint, and to transition into a school year, along with doing referendum planning services and everything else, I think it's prudent to keep the people on who we've been working on strategic plan with for just a little bit longer. I did that under my authority already. Okay, with what I could do in budget and what I need. I'm
Jared,
asking if you want to.
Sorry.
Yes, Tina, go ahead.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Talk when you can.
Okay. Has this, I would definitely see the value as far as the continuity is concerned. I can't imagine the scope of having to, try to restart with another group as far as, I mean, retraining employees is a big, time and resource expense as far as that's concerned. Have you been happy in working, with Lori as far as like the strategic plan and things like that? Have you been happy as far as working with them and how that's gone?
I am in these regards. One, I think that they fostered with the information that was put out and everything else. They fostered a robust discussion around the strategic plan. We brought in so many voices from the community. And honestly, it started out thin, but they helped us double down, triple down. And with the support of our admin team, we really got there. I think they did the best they could to synthesize and bring thoughts to you as a group. And tonight they showed that they were open to hear exactly what you wanted and perform that in the way that you were looking for. Not guide you in a way or a thought or whatever, just here it is, and how can I facilitate this for you? So those are the areas that I appreciated from working with Donovan, and it's in a way that comes from an outside view, helping us move that along on a scale of normality, right? This is how districts do these things, right? And so that way it didn't go off track anywhere.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was a good partner and things like that. And I mean, if it's, I mean, I was with the original group that evaluated, the different things, even as far as communication and things like that. And so, I mean, I support, you know, seeing as how this is like what you need, like we need something, along the way and stuff like that. And so, I would support that for you.
Are you guys happy with the outcomes to this point and what we're thinking of as we move forward? Yes,
No,
I'd agree, no.
no?
I didn't think it was effective, the way that it was handled.
Why is that?
Well, mixing the tables up, there were dominant people at the tables who decided what was gonna be put on the board, what wasn't. It just, it didn't seem like the discussion was effective at each of the tables.
My question is, did you get the outcome you asked for, which is the views of the community expressed to you in a way that you could be productive with?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I don't
Is that,
think.
I mean, is that how other people feel? Or, I mean, should we scrap all of it and start over?
Were you happy with where the
What?
mission and vision ended up tonight?
I am satisfied where we ended up. But the strategic plan has not yet been formed in its entirety. I'm still forming an opinion on whether or not that is where we need to go. And if we're voting coming at the end of the month on a strategic plan, to me, that should be a little better defined going forward. Then here it is, make a decision. I'm not happy with that process.
So I had a lot of people contact me, between the sessions when we went to them and ask me about how information from the previous sessions had been synthesized and then returned, like from session 2 from 3 to 4. And I think that speaks to what Dan was talking about a little bit. I know that I had, on one hand, I do like meeting people that I don't know, talking to them, getting to know them. On the other hand, I definitely noticed a similar trend happening, not just at tables I was at, but when I was looking at other tables of people who had particularly strong wills. I know in one instance, a table did not actually hand in their personal drafted mission statement because there was a lack of agreement and someone was very staunch about it. And maybe that's inevitable, but I do think that there's concern about, in the overall sense, how exactly is all of that information gathered up and given back to the board? I think that was the main thing that I had people asking me about. So for instance, in the pillars section, all of the data points, those were summaries, not direct copies of the different points that had been written down. And I had quite a number of people when they were looking at this, preceding this meeting, saying, hey, why is this on there? Why are these things grouped together and these things aren't? Why do you arrive at that number? And that wasn't something that was clear and forthcoming. On the other hand, I understand the difficulty that you, Tina, Diana are talking about with going with an entirely new group and trying to, get things rolling with an entirely new set of people. That's very difficult. I think that if we were going to move forward with Panorama, or I'm sorry, I'm already preparing for tomorrow morning. Oh boy, if we are going to move forward with Donovan Group, I do think that we probably would have to define a little bit better what that process is going to be like beforehand and have a better idea of how, whatever measures we take, I guess clarity and transparency in those areas, right? That's my 2 cents,
Sure.
alongside what they're saying. Tina, you got your hand up?
Sure. I mean, if you're asking specifically as far as like Donovan Group is concerned, I mean, I think it was a very good process. She outlined things in the beginning as far as like what the process would look like. I mean, I get it may not look exactly how everyone wanted to. I think she did a really great job in working with all of the different community groups and bringing everybody together. I think it's important that, whoever was represented at the community meetings and things like that, I think she did a really good job of, mixing that up, because I think that goes back to some of our core values and listening to each other and considering different, perspectives and things like that. I actually had a lot of people reach out to me and thought that she did a good job as far as, kind of melding things together. They were like, I didn't know how this is gonna go, and they maybe had people, of differing opinions and things like that. But they thought that she, took things, brought people together to be able to bring that forward. I think we also have to keep in mind, we're not experts in this area. I mean, she's bringing the information to us, and she is our specified contractor. She is the one that is, the expert in being able to bring people together. I think we also have to remember what our role as a board is, and ours isn't in the nitty gritty, of that. We are participating in it, but, we also have to take a look at the overview of it. But I think she did a great job. As far as I agree with what you said, Jared. She brought things together. She represented what people brought forth, but then was still open to, our specific input as far as we're the final decision makers.
So if you go out to RFP on this, do you think you can get someone to come in for $28,000 or less? They're $4,000 a month, you're asking for 7 more months. That's 28,000. If we can't get anybody in for less than 50.
No, I mean,
You know what I'm saying with this?
Here's the thing, for other groups to do the work, if you go back to those original RFPs, we were at way more than the 4,000 a month plus the 30,000 initial for both of those other 2 quotes. If we wanted to engage them, they're still going to have a fairly high quote because they didn't do this first start of the work. So they would have to first start with a review of the work that was done, right, to get this caught up. Just wanted to share that, like, no, but again, that wouldn't be my rationale for moving forward, right? My rationale is that I do think that they did exactly what we asked them to do, which is to bring the voice of the community in a culminated fashion for you guys to do the work. You may not agree with the methodology. I've shared this. Sometimes you don't agree with my methodology, but I ask you always to tell me, were you happy with the outcome in the end? I think all of you sat here tonight and you had an outcome on these first really initial and important parts, right? That will inform the next parts that I have to do in coordination with the teaching staff and admin team to bring you goals that you will ultimately have to approve as well. So I think that I have the information I need to help me with that, the information that you clarified tonight. So I understand that you might not have agreed with the processes along the way, but in the end, she brought, I think, this community together more than it could have been. I mean, it could have gotten really divided really quickly. That didn't happen here.
I guess we can have our differences of opinion on that process. I still go back to this is a different here. We're shifting into a different focus now. That happens to be with a referendum. I look at that as a separate function. I look at that as I want the best quality, the best competent and qualified candidate or vendor to pursue for that particular purpose when it comes to referendum services. Now, if that means that it ends up being the Donovan Group, great. We save some money. If it turns out that there are some other groups that we should consider for that, I think it should be within this committee's purview to actually go into closed session and have that discussion. At the end of the day, a job needs to get done, and it has to be with that particular referendum. A referendum hopefully passes. Well, I don't know. I'm not confident if, at least from what I've seen so far, that is going to be the right fit for Donovan Group. You asked about a certain satisfaction I had with the Donovan Group. I answered honestly, I'm looking for this. I need to make sure that this is going to be a function that is well executed, for referendum.
Okay, does the committee wish that I go out and secure other referendum communication slash surveying type groups to bring back information? Because I certainly can do that. And I will just move forward on the 4 months with just the strategic planning process, unless the board gives me direction to also move forward with referendum, because I don't want to cloud the waters. I'm hearing more about the strategic planning. It's under strategic planning. I shared with you, I want you to know her quote also touches this stone over here that we're going to have to meet for. We don't have to engage in that free opportunity. We can set that aside and we can just go forward with the strategic planning piece. I secured 4 more months of strategic planning. I'm wondering if you want to continue further through the rest of the year in that. I don't need to cloud the waters with the referendum piece. We can set that aside for now. And I can go out if that's what you want. What does the committee want me to do?
So when I look through here, first of all, I'm in total support of your 4 months, great, whatever. Tina texted me that she supports you going forward with your work in that as well. If that's all we're looking right now, or are we talking referendum too? Are we getting one thing first and then are we commenting?
I want an understanding of whether or not you want me to commit through the whole year with
Correct.
strategic planning.
Because I would have the same note here.
Let's start with that piece
Yep.
first, and then if
Okay.
you want me to do something different with referendum, we can definitely do that. But this quote has both in them,
Okay,
because that's how they work with their customers. They work with all things
Yep.
that they work on,
the
and it's
questions
one flat fee a month.
that I had, one was what Fred already brought up, at 4,000 a month times 7, 28,000. So you already brought that piece in. The second piece, they highlighted things for the RFP. Is there anything that was left on the RFP that isn't a part of this? Was there anything missing?
I don't believe so. That'd I have to put to
Okay.
Jason for sure, but
And then the third piece in that, in order for me to make a value decision in terms of, is this where we go in terms of the referendum as well? That's the second bar piece. I'm understanding where Craig is coming from. I don't have enough information here to make that decision on if they would be the best helping us move forward. But I also know that if you're jumping in November, December, and you have until April, there's a very short window of time there. You might not be able to get the best person for that in that short window anyway, because you're going to have to catch them back up to speed first and then move forward. So I don't know what possibilities there are.
We're treating the referendum separately from strategic plan.
Correct.
Work in parallel. So the Donovan group's already here.
Correct.
That the other person has to wait until they're out. We could work them in parallel based on that. The other thing I would like to know is how many referendums have they always, helped
Yes.
out with? What's their success rate?
Correct.
I don't know that information. I'd like to know that before we make any.
Wisconsin referenda or nationwide referenda?
I would go with Wisconsin referendum. Yeah.
There are some listed in the school districts they've worked with and so forth.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Fred, I think we wrote the mission and vision statements, or rewrote them.
We had input. We didn't start whole cloth. We didn't start with a
Right.
blank slate.
That's
We
true.
had the words that we started with and we moved things around. We changed things, we updated. I think we did hear as a group from the community. We all were in those meetings. We heard what the community said. We brought those voices with us tonight to this meeting when we changed those things. And we updated what we ended up with.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah, so that's it. If the Donovan group hadn't been there, if we hadn't had those meetings, we wouldn't have had that input in us brought tonight's meeting. So I will give them that. I don't know if I necessarily agree again with their method. I don't think it was terrible, but there is a sense of we had 4 weeks of meetings or whatever, and we've got a mission and vision, and I know there's more coming to this. And I think that's the piece we're missing, is because I think, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot more work that went on behind the scenes, other than those meetings, that we haven't seen, that is going to be a part of the strategic plan that we need to see to validate what was their effort. Because if that was all that they did was hold those 4 meetings, by all means, no. But I want to see everything else. I want to see the definitions. I want to see all the other.
Well, and if you go to that roadmap documents, the list of documents, right?
Yeah.
It's all of those things are there that were taken from
And what I'm saying is,
work groups and meetings.
what we're getting presented of the 26th is going to make up my mind. On how well they've done. But as far as I still see strategic plan and referendum as separate things. So we need to look at that for me. And again, I'm going to defer to what the committee says here tonight. But for my input is, these are separate things. They should be looked at separately.
I agree.
Okay, then I will do the best I can to bring a couple of different quotes.
What the committee says, not what I say.
Well, wait,
I think that's what you guys are leaning towards. I think I heard that from multiple people here.
so one of the questions was
Might be wrong.
extending, you got to November. One of your questions was, do we extend the Donovan group? Was that not a question out there that we have not answered?
Right.
So,
At this point, I would say no. Cause I think we still need more information.
You mean past the 4-month mark?
past the 4 month
Right.
for the strategic plan. Which
And
right now,
ongoing
we're just
support.
talking strategic plan.
Yeah, like,
Put-
it's not-
put referendum
it's not
aside.
like something that's gonna explode if we don't.
That could be done because it's the month.
Yeah.
You could do this past November.
We have to decide.
Yeah, in that regard, I don't,
No.
That doesn't have to be decided on tonight, I don't think.
No, but as we get through that $20,000 threshold. Right? So you don't want to wait
So-
until the month before.
You can come back in October, I guess. I mean, that's the month before the 4-month threshold ends, but
Or you can bring it just to the full board. You don't have in September, you don't have to wait to bring it to planning necessarily.
So that was the first question, extending beyond the year. First,
Beyond-
extending to the year.
basically
beyond the
beyond
4
the
months.
26th, which is the basically the end point at which the
You've already
first
done
3
the 4
phases.
You've already done the 4 months, right?
Yes, I did.
So that goes through November. October, November,
December, actually.
December.
September, October, November, December.
Okay. So the question to the committee, if I'm not mistaken, is. Do we extend through June? Is it June? And through June as opposed to ending at December?
I think we just need to see where the strategic, I think. I agree with, basically, I'm not gonna repeat what Fred, because I don't think we need to keep, but that's my feeling. I would rather wait. Let's see how the strategic plan looks and have maybe a further discussion.
Okay, Dan?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I was not impressed. And then I looked, are we gonna discuss this second,
Well, let's get through the first part first. So we're getting right now, the
I
decision,
mean, are we gonna go
Comments?
through these slides, that are tonight?
no,
No?
The 19-page packet, that's more like a supplementary material, right?
yeah,
Yeah, supplementary material.
Well, yeah, and I'm looking at some of the things on that look like they're gonna be similar to what we've gone through.
okay.
So, no.
So then the question that I'm gonna pose out there is. Since there's uncertainty right now, because we haven't seen the other parts of the strategic plan, which we should be seeing in the next 2 weeks. We have a planning meeting in September. Can we put that on the planning meeting agenda for September? Make a decision then, we would have then seen, because it would have been presented to the board or to the staff. Does that give enough runway time for you decision wise? You didn't need that decision tonight, Or did you need it tonight?
So,
For the board, wouldn't I?
Right,
what I,
take there.
right. I don't need a decision tonight on the continuation of the strategic planning process.
Okay.
Like I said, I've taken the initiative to get us out at least to a place where I feel we've got the school year going, we've got all the action plans. They are with indicators, right? Measurable outcomes. And I don't know if that'll get us to the creation or start of a creation of a dashboard. I don't know, right? But I do know it will get us to the next phase. That will give you some time to say, do we want to continue to reinvest? That's fine. On the referendum side, we do need to start engaging public sooner than later. Which means we're looking at, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, starting survey development and probably getting initial surveys out mid-September. So if you do not want us to engage that with the Donovan Group, that's fine. I will bring other quotes to you for the 26th for your review. And you can tell me who you want to go with to get survey work done, initial survey work. And I'm fine with that direction. We will need to come together on at least who's going to help us with the survey work, the initial survey work, around questions that you guys are going to develop and ask the community. Okay, so you're going to work with this vendor, whoever it is, to finalize those questions. We're going to also be working with PRA on the capital side and Baird on the I just lost the word.
Financial.
Yeah, on the yes, the financial side. Just use that word, right? So that way we know those questions that we want to put forward to talk about support and how much support is out there. But we do have to get moving on that. So, and we've already started some work at getting quotes from other companies. I just want to know what direction you want. And so I'm fine with that, but we do have to get the initial survey work, no matter what we do in the end. I mean, some people just go find a builder out there and have the builder help them with that. If we're not going to do anything in capital, and I don't know if we are or aren't come April, well, I don't have a builder on board who can communicate just a financial question. And so I don't like going that route. But that's what a lot of school districts do. They just have their general help with their marketing team do marketing for referendum. But if we're going for an operational referendum, that financial piece, you're not going to engage that method. Yeah.
We still have a bunch of other questions as a board that we need to discuss. We have some soul searching to and you know engage in.
I need those questions, forward them to Fred, because we're trying to pull together a initial referendum subcommittee meeting on Friday morning at about 7:30. So it's great. Just start
with Jared, since I was on this committee.
Well, and was assigned that as the committee assigned it. So if you have questions about referendum or soul searching or discussion points, give them to Fred, because
welcome those.
He's gonna have to help us lead through that as a subcommittee.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's a whole thing that I don't know what that means. I do feel that there needs to be some sort of a strategic discussion at the board level at some point about what our needs are. And we need to try to, now, is this subcommittee part of a pre-discussion prior to that happening? Or
anything that we make, any discussion has to happen at the board level. The only thing the subcommittee do will tee up, make sure that we have all the information, we have all of those pieces we need for the board before we have the discussion. That's what I'm looking for with the subcommittee, is to get this together. We need to get,
Yeah, so all they're gonna do.
So we can make sure we have that piece. we have to have those things there, so when the board asks those questions, we have the answers written. That's what
So they're gonna look over projections and discussion points from Baird on both the operational side, which is continuing financially, or the capital side, and a mixture of their between. From the capital side, you're also going to have some discussion around the work that you set PRA down to talk about your vision for what capital needs are, anywhere from fixing deferred maintenance items to consolidation and what that might look like. Okay, so that's what we're talking about, first steps of doing that. I've got Baird doing everything from just an operational referendum and at our current dollars, or a smaller operational because we want to consolidate and get into a better efficiency or fiscal impact, right? So we'll be starting with a smaller operational referendum, a larger capital referendum, and then talking about a timeline to phase in other parts of that plan over the next 10 years. So that's what this subcommittee is gonna be bringing to you guys.
So I'm assuming that there's gonna be more detail involved in that subcommittee than just a fiscal committee
Yeah,
meeting.
but we are getting away from the agenda for tonight, which was to talk
I'm
about,
trying not to have a discussion about the referendum specifically, but the details of which. Well, I mean, that's what I'm after. I want to be part of that discussion at some point. And I think the whole entire board should be part of that discussion. I just need to know what part of that process are we? We're just trying to hold things in a little bit, or?
You've got a pile.
we need to
Yeah.
organize it for you first,
Okay.
right? I mean, Craig, that's all we're doing is organizing.
Sure.
It ends all together and spend 4 hours asking questions and going, okay, let me get you that answer.
Right,
Those answers need to be there when we ask the question.
sure.
So
Thank
if
you.
we have the questions, we want to tee those up ahead of time, send them to me, and I'll make sure that people get them so we get the answers. And not waste our time asking them in a room that they don't have in front of them.
All right, I didn't get to weigh in on my thoughts, so I'm gonna weigh in.
Okay,
I think Tina already said she was in support. I think that we should go for the year with the Donovan Group in support of the strategic plan portion of things. So when I look at the list that's there, the majority of that list is supporting Melissa. And we look at Melissa was brought in halfway through the year to support district needs. Then you put referendum on top of that, you put strategic plan on top of that. And you look at how can we help her do her job to get all those communication pieces with the community together. If we don't have that support for her, I'm afraid that she's gonna be floundering in so many different ways. So I just want you to noodle on that. We will have that discussion. Everybody else got to weigh in, so I felt I wanted to weigh in. We'll have that discussion further at the September meeting. Jason, do you have any action steps that we need to have other than this discussion piece for our next meeting?
For these.
September.
Yeah.
Mhm. For everyone here, did we miss anything other than bringing this forward at September?
What do you say, that's
The strategic plan referendum conversation.
I'd still like maybe a strategic plan.
Yeah, it'll be, yes, but these pieces coming. Anything else? Thank you all. Meeting adjourned, 8:06. Yeah, time.
Fred, can I ask you a question now? Who's gonna make up the task force?
What?
The task force?
Well,